I like it! Right then, maybe we won't look at any Man United players today then, as it is time to scout the best ever FPL players going on right now. It's the Gameweek 21 players to watch. This is the series where I have a browse and suggest the best players in the league right now to see if any of them could be good enough to be your next sexy FPL transfer. But before we get into that, let's talk about the sponsor for today, OneFootball. OneFootball is the all-in-one football app that every football fan will really enjoy. It has a lot of amazing features, including keeping you up to date with all of the latest football news from around the world. Incredibly handy during the transfer window, by the way, wink wink. And you can also use it to keep your eye out for players and leagues like the Premier League, where I also use it to help me with FPL, to check in players I might be getting in, like the watch list here, but also check out all the teams, see how they've been doing, who to target, and all of that good stuff. It has everything you need to become a better FPL manager. So if you like what you see, you can click on the link at the top of the video description to download for free today. That's OneFootball, free to get right now. And right now, it's time to stare at some lads, get your binoculars out, and see what's happening in the world of FPL. We're first on the list today, and for the first ever time, it's a manager in Thomas Tuchel. Hang on, how would you say that? How would you say that, right?
Thomas Tuchel.
That's right, Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel. Yeah, alright, you can't quite transfer him in, even though he probably will score the same amount of goals this season than Werner does at this rate. But he is now, in fact, the manager of Chelsea, so could we well see a difference in their team there? Ooh, the mid-table battle just got much more interesting right now. But now, the players I'm going to mention here are Hudson-Odoi, Werner and Rudiger. Where Hudson-Odoi actually played kind of a right wing back, interestingly, but made a lot of run and even attempted 11 crosses. Jesus. But it will be interesting to see if he keeps playing there. Does that mean Reece James loses his place? Or does that mean Hudson-Odoi could be a good option? And then we have Rudiger, apparently a player he rated quite highly and even wanted to bring to PSG. So at his price, he might keep on playing and might be a very good option for that defensive cover in the Chelsea defence. And then finally, Werner, who didn't play a single minute. Very interesting that. But usually what we see with new managers is sometimes a bit of a manager boost, you know? Players being a bit more hungry and proper fighting for a place in the team. So could we potentially see some assets appear? With the likes of a Hudson-Odoi, a Havertz, a Werner, a Ziyech. All of their amazing talent in their squad. Will one of them make it proper worth it to actually get them in? Now that is something we definitely have to wait and see, and watch out to see if they do anything over the next few games. As they actually have a quite decent run of fixtures after a couple of games as well, so a few very sexy options could come clear quite soon. But definitely don't buy right now, just have a watch, okay? Making the entire Chelsea squad, maybe not Mason Mount, because rest in peace to his game time now that Daddy Lampard is gone, right? Are all players to watch this week. With next, actual good suggestions for you lads, don't worry, I'm not trying to waste your time, alright? But who I have here is all of the amazing value budget boys who are all much better than any of the expensive lads right now, and I don't even know what's going on. Where I present to you Gundogan, Soucek and Saka. Like, what is happening? Gundogan is Man City's highest top goal scorer this season, scoring 7 Premier League goals in his last 8 games. What? Then Soucek has also scored 7 goals this season, whilst kind of being a defensive midfielder, whilst he also scored 2 goals in his last game as well. Just like the Sir Gundogan. And then boom, Saka only scored the 5 goals. Only. But has also got 3 assists this season, so very, very good. And these 3 lads right here are all just making an absolute mockery of their price, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop scoring anytime soon. But today, lads, I'm just here to remind you, it's not too late to get them in. Where Gundogan has Sheffield United and Burnley in the next 2. Yeah, not the easiest games, unless you were the most prolific German to ever exist, and also play for Man City. Soucek also plays Fulham and Sheffield United after 2 difficult games, but you know, is also the best player to ever exist in the league. And the Saka man has a mix of difficult games here and there, but are all against teams that are pretty much conceding all of the goals. But again, look at their damn prices. Not a single one of them is priced over 5.8 million. They are now half the price of a Salah, a Bruno, and are all scoring a lot more than double than them all right now. Like, what? So it may well be kind of a good idea to get in at least one, maybe even two of these guys into your team. And then you can literally afford any other players in your squad, whatever you fancy. If you want 3 Kanes up front, you will be able to afford it if you have these 3 guys in midfield. So that is why these 3 fellas are players to watch, players to buy for the Gameweek 21 watch list. With the next player on the watch list, might not be one that you might want to buy, but could very much affect the player you have / about to get in. And that player is Laporte. Mr. Eric is finally back after a long injury and all kinds of holidays off of the football, where he made a sub appearance in the last game week. But this right here could actually be an absolute disaster for some of your players in FPL. And maybe definitely for me. Where in my team, I actually have Stones and Cancelo. Now, Stones and Diaz are literally the second coming of Nestor and Digne and have been the best centre-back pairing to ever exist in the league, right? And I would be very, very surprised if that was split up right now. But then you remember, it is Pep Guardiola, and he probably will do it. He probably will mix things up and just change things from game to game, you know? Or he could actually do what he did last week and played Laporte as kind of a left-back that stayed more back. As you know, they went kind of into a back 3 while Cancelo was the one that pushed up, which could actually be pretty good news for Cancelo. As you know, he has a lot more attacking, and he had the freedom to roam around as much as he wanted to, which sounds amazing. But if Laporte is going to play left-back, then that means potentially even more risk for Cancelo not to start, because even though he's playing so well, sometimes he's been starting left back while Walker's been playing right back. So I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes Walker starts at right back and Laporte starts at left back, or maybe Cancelo does play left back, but then Laporte could also take a place of Stones or Diaz. So it's just a big oh dear for all of the Man City defenders actually. But we don't quite know that yet, do we? But it looks like it might be. Now, hopefully Pep will understand us, and for FPL managers' sake, just use Laporte as kind of a backup, or maybe just use him in like Champions League games or something, I don't know. But all of that is just stuff out of our control, but we will need to keep an eye out just in case, you know, some things could change very soon. And that's what I like to do here on the watch list. I don't want to just suggest players that have done well and be like, get them in right now. But I also want to let you know of other things that may be happening. A player coming back from injury can change things up, and maybe potentially, you never know, in like 5 or 6 weeks, we might have to get one out. Hopefully not, I don't think so. But it could happen, and we need to be wary of it. But hopefully that is not the case. But you never know. Maybe not making your Man City players on the watch list this week, but more on Pep on fraud watch list. We're moving on to the next player, who has also just got back from an injury, but could actually be a very, very good option very soon. And he could also be now or never for him. And that is Digne. He hasn't actually played much of this season. I think only about half, you know. And yet, he has 6 FPL assists as a defender. Oh. And he is also part of a defence which has massively improved lately and actually haven't conceded more than 1 goal in their last 10 league games. But because of T-Rex arm Jordan Pickford, you know, they haven't quite been keeping the clean sheets. But against teams like Newcastle, who they play next week, by the way, wink wink, those clean sheets could very well be coming in soon. But you know when I said he is part of a defence? Well, turns out, last game, he actually played as a left midfielder. Oh. Where he attempted 8 crosses against a pretty good Leicester team. So maybe if he stays fit and potentially stays in that position next game, and the next game, and the next game, where he plays Newcastle, Leeds and Fulham in his next 4, this could be a massive, massive opportunity for some big boy points, clean sheets incoming, probably assists incoming, and you never know, he could chirp in with a few goals as well. And I won't lie to you when I say I'm kind of tempted to get him in. Especially for that Newcastle game. Now, it could still be a risk because he's just come back from injury. You know, he might be rotated a bit more. He could very easily just go back to left back and not be as attacking. And also, you know, Everton can be flat every now and again. And he's also not the cheapest of defenders. Yeah, sounds like I'm against him now, doesn't it? But in his next few games, it could well pay off. It could be a risk, but that is something we might need to watch. Making him the next player on the watch list here. With the final player on the watch list this week being Oliver Watkins, who went on a drier spell than sex workers during COVID, but now has absolutely turned it on and got back-to-back goals in his games now. In the last 2 games, that's the one. With Villa, even though they managed to get slapped by Brexit Burnley in the end, they looked very, very good in the attack and looked like they could score a lot. Because, you know, when they have players like Grealish, Barkley, Traore, all of that firepower in there, they're just going to do quite well, aren't they? But I wanted to bring something up here, where they have actually just signed a new midfielder in Morgan Sanson. As you know, the January transfer window is apparently open. It doesn't feel like it, does it? But Villa here are one of the teams with just a lot of attackers now. Where like an El Ghazi for Villa scored 5 goals in 5 games, then didn't score 1 game, and hasn't started in the last 3 because of that. Then Bertrand Traore has been involved a lot in the Villa attack, but actually has only played 90 minutes once. And they just have a lot of great options going around as well. But I did want to use this time to remind you that there are actually quite a lot of game weeks in a short amount of time, especially coming up. And players like a Bertrand Traore, maybe even like a Harvey Barnes, maybe even a Gundogan, could actually be a risk from game to game, as there's quite a lot of games going on. I mean, Gundogan is actually the best player in the world, so he might be alright. But I think it's probably a very smart idea to just choose 90-minute men for the foreseeable future. A player that you know is going to play like every single minute, a player like Grealish or something. Or maybe even Watkins right here, where Watkins also has great fixtures for a decent few amount of weeks, but more importantly, no Champions League or Europa League, which will start affecting things in about 5 game weeks. So you need to make sure you're also ready for that. Because especially like Man City, would Pep rather play Gundogan against a Champions League team or against bloody West Brom again? Yeah, exactly. So just make sure your next few transfers are players that are guaranteed to play, so that they can get you all of the FPL points. And that is it for the Game Week 21 watch list. So again, with my watch list here, I don't like to just spoon feed you with all of these players, I don't go, this player got 7 shots, get them in. This player only made 2 passes a game and 7 red cards, don't get him in. But I always try and give you enough information so that you can actually make the decisions for yourself, informing you of things you may have missed, and also different player situations that are good to know. But basically, make sure you choose players that are guaranteed to play and then guaranteed to get all of the points. Easier said than done, but something to look out for. But that is it. So thanks for watching, and remember,
don't be a cheeky scrub. Subscribe to Nathan Bacon right now. Don't let your memes be dreams.